I'm Mr. Fox. Welcome to the I Fuse podcast. I got something to say. How you doing? All right, you white motherfuckers. All eyes on me. This is the I Refuse podcast. The last 24 hours, I have been in shambles, like my spirit and my heart, because my baby, girlfriend in my head, Ananda Lewis, is battling stage 4 breast cancer. And this news is, the most devastating part about it is that this kind of thing keeps reaffirming the brevity of life. Like, between Ananda Lewis going through what she's going through, Bruce Willis going through what he's going through, Danielle Fishel, who played Topanga on Boy Meets World, is going through what she's going through, stage 0 breast cancer. Like, people that you grew up watching, whether it was on MTV, TRL, Teen Summit, three entities that Ananda Lewis contributed to during the 90s through the 2000s. Like, Ananda Lewis did a lot of interviews, young, pretty, looking back during that time when MTV had TRL and had the VJ stuff, and when BET had Teen Summit. Like, it was her, it was Rachel from Caribbean Sands, like Biggie would say. Like, it's just Ananda Lewis, like Carson Daly, like who else? The different VJs who have popped up in like documentaries and stuff. Kurt Loder, who was well into his 40s when he was doing the MTV News. Like, all of that just represents an aspect of my youth. So for Ananda Lewis to be going through that at a really young age, and it not being her first battle. She was initially diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer back before the pandemic. And the doctor offered her the chance to get a mastectomy, which is they're essentially taking your breast tissue out of your chest to prevent the cancer from spreading. And she opted not to. Now, before you start to go in on my girl Ananda Lewis, Ananda Lewis is a very intelligent woman, very smart, very articulate, very well educated. She has lived. And she has lived quite a life prior to doing stuff for, I just grabbed my titty, prior to getting, the opportunity for MTV and Teen Summit. I think what Ananda Lewis was aiming for was going the natural, less problematic on the back end route. But unfortunately, by her electing not to take the doctor up on the recommendation of a mastectomy, the cancer has spread and she's now in stage 4. She has stated through several reporting outlets that she is taking a series of remedies that she believes and probably has proof of that works against the cancer, and she believes will make it smaller to the point that it's undetectable. But by being stage 4, she can chemotherapy will not be effective, nor will what was the other thing? Chemotherapy will not be effective, nor will surgery. So she's gonna have to live with this for the rest of her life. Um, but it's still sad all around because when you have stage 4 of a cancer, um, you're in a state of managed care. You have what you believe, you have routes that you take based on what you believe will be effective. It's not necessarily the most traditional medical route. And in the recent history of like celebrities, women particularly, that have lived with breast cancer for long periods of time, whether it was consecutive, on and off, came back. It's we've come a long way. We've come a long way with breast cancer and other other areas of cancer that are not completely final once you diagnose or they pick up on it, like bone marrow cancer, bone cancer, um, pancreatic or colon cancer. But of course, all that stuff varies from person to person. Used to be back in the day that when a woman had breast cancer, um, they say, "Oh, you have X amount of months to live." Oftentimes, it's less than a year, and it got to the point. The statistics got to a point where, as time went on, more and more people and institutions were pushing out ads and had these campaigns. You gotta get your mammograms once every 3 months or once every 6 months, twice a year. Gotta get your mammograms. Gotta get your mammograms. Gotta do them. So it was definitely a different time back in like the 90s when it came to breast cancer, that it was a guaranteed shorter, immediate life expectancy, regardless of age. But it's like when you're that young and you're that familiar to a lot of people. A lot of people in my age group, give or take 5 or 10 years, grew up on TRL, grew up on MTV during a time where they actually played music videos. Same thing with VH1. And MTV had the Total Request Live and, the second or third resurgence of pop music and pandemonium and stuff. MTV was it. And then you had breaking news. You had I Want to Be a VJ. You had the Mariah meltdown. You had the platform where people can call in and speak directly to to the guests, the celebrities on the show. Most often that was Carson Daly doing them things. So many moments. Truly a time was had. Truly was a time was had where people would call in and they be like, I just want to know what, so and so is going to do for the community. I know Prize and, Prize and Maya do something. I just want to know what ODB is going to do to give back. Me? Nothing. But it was real. So when I saw Ananda Lewis, I was like, damn. Even like people that were a little bit older than me, that I grew up watching on TV, interviewing celebrities while their albums are out, are going through a breast cancer journey. And, Ananda Lewis is regretting her decision. But what we will not do is refer to Ananda Lewis as stupid, as dumb, as irresponsible. I'm sure Ananda Lewis had her reasons at the time, before the pandemic, to not have the surgery. It is definitely, given everything that's been going on as far as like the country and government and politics and stuff, particularly, the opinions y'all have had about, the vaccine show. There are some people out here that just do not want to do the same stuff you want to do, or may not believe in doctors' recommendations and stuff like that, and that's perfectly fine. It's just, when I think of Ananda Lewis, I think of Olivia Newton-John, who died from breast cancer, and Shannon Doherty, who died from breast cancer. Two women who had more than one occurrence. One occurrence and then like a reoccurrence of cancer, and lived the last years of their lives with, I believe, was stage 4 cancer. So I'm pretty sure Ananda Lewis has come to terms with the reality that this cancer is not going anywhere. I still have a life to live, and I'm going to live it. And that's really all you can do. And I feel like when you have cancer, stress and tears and high emotions only makes it worse. Like you don't want to feed the cancer. You definitely don't want the final chapter of your life be filled with drama and chaos, and you just want to be like on some chill shit for real. And I feel like if Ananda Lewis, I don't know if she's married or single, I'm gonna just assume she's single. If Ananda Lewis has come to terms with what she has and there's no getting out of it, if I was her, I'd be out in these streets. She's cute. She's still young. She could probably still dip it low. And people know who she is. No, you had to be there. Ananda Lewis was and still is still fine as hell. Now I don't know what she's doing these days. I'd also be like doing a lot of work, and she probably would do like a lot more like giving back and more speaking engagements as an advocate for breast cancer and sharing her story. I'm just going through ideas. But yeah, so like how sad. I'm very sad. Ananda Lewis is very in my head close. Very, very very much brings back memories of a time where MTV was that channel to beat. There weren't a flurry of reality shows. They had music videos around the clock. They did the news. They did little like documentaries and celebrity interviews, and they even once in a while interviewed like political candidates. Tabitha Soren was not to be played with when it came to that. Um, like it was a very much a diverse time over there at MTV when Ananda Lewis was over there. Like when I say diverse, like you had young folks that were still green. You had Tabitha Soren. I don't know what her age was, but she kind of dressed like she was a PTA committee leader. Then you had like the short bald guy. Then you had like a couple of like alternative rock white looking guys. You had Kurt Loder, who sounded every bit of out of like put out, and just over the whole thing, which is funny. I mean, Kurt Loder was the oldest person at the time, and well, he still is the oldest person on a new young channel. But it worked. Like you put these people shoulder to shoulder in a lineup, you think it's just people waiting for a city bus. That's how diverse it was. But yeah, like I look at what she's going through, and I think time is fleeting. Life is doesn't play fair, and is definitely like unforgiving. Like nobody should be going through that. Oh, she's not going through this alone, which I don't think she is. Um, but yeah, Nanda Lewis, Danielle Fishel, old girl from Boy Meets World, suffering, go, suffering going through breast cancer battle. I'm Mr. Fox, the Refuse podcast. It has been great seeing you guys again. Thank you for showing the love and giving me the follows and the subscriptions and stuff. I Refuse podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, this is the YouTube channel where the content is different than the podcast, where you get, your Apple and Spotify and all that other stuff. Usual Suspects will be releasing a new episode next week. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts. Mr. Fox and Abstract Sagittarius, and the I Refuse podcast After Dark. And I will catch you guys later. Peace. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse.